Merry Christmas. I think that's when this is going to come out. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. And welcome to another episode of Patrick Brady Reviews, where we're going to be talking about Oscar predictions. What are we going to be seeing when it comes to award season, not just the Oscars, and what can we do to maybe help you line your pocket with some cash or lose a ton of money, depending on if you go with either of our good or bad advice. Speaking of advice, we're going to have to talk about Marvel and the Kang situation and what we should do with that. But first, I want to introduce my guests. They're from the Big Movie Mouth Off. We have Adam, Jeff, and Brooks. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all look so handsome. Thanks for coming on. So first, I just want to make sure everybody knows where to follow you. I was too preoccupied with nailing the intro. There we go. Make sure that you're following everything there, that you go on to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, search Big Movie Mouth Off, and check out their stuff. They've got a lot of great reviews, and we've all been kind of going through this 2023 movie season with a lot of ideas in mind on what we want to see for awards. So first, tell me a little bit about your podcast and how it all got started.
Well, thanks for having us, Patrick. It's really great to be with you. Big Movie Mouth Off is a property that's been around the Salt Lake movie review scene for a long time. It started well over a decade ago when Jeff Weiss and Jimmy Martin got together with Brian Young. I think he was at Big Shiny Robot at the time. And they put together a video show where they reviewed films together. And it was a great vehicle for the way Jeff and Jimmy just love to argue with each other about movies. Jeff sadly died in 2014, and Jimmy was looking for a new co-host and tried several people. And for whatever reason, Patrick, he ended up with me. And we did that show together on Xfinity local public access for 5 years. When Jimmy sadly passed in 2019, the show, the brand, kind of took a break because everyone was really heartbroken and not sure where to go next. I had a conversation with Jimmy's family and talked about bringing it back, this time as a podcast, not focusing on video. And I knew I didn't want to do it alone, and I knew I didn't want to do it just one other person. So I talked to Brooks and Adam. They jumped on, and here we are. We're 13 episodes into the relaunch, and we're really excited.
Well, yeah. It's amazing that you guys are still going and that even through, because I'm sure it probably felt impossible for a while.
It did.
To figure out where to go from that point. And rest in peace to both of those amazing critics and the work that they've done and what you are continuing to do with their legacy with Big Movie Mouth Off. Super commendable. So thank you for joining in, and may there be many more episodes to come.
Thanks, Patrick. We're super excited to be with you. We love to talk about this. We just recorded our top fives yesterday, and so we're all hot and ready to go.
And it'll be really interesting to see where this goes, because last year our top fives had a lot of overlap. This year there was three movies?
3 movies,
3 or 4 out of 15.
Yeah, 3.
So
3 was the most.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have some good conversation on this one. So
right. Hey, Brooks.
Yeah.
You have to bring that energy that you bring me every time that you text me about Scream, okay?
Uh-oh. I don't know if I can do that in person.
I don't know why I didn't bring that up before we started recording. I think I was like, maybe save that. But
I mean, it is the best ensemble of the year. So
we dish on each other hard about that stuff. I have and now with where the Scream franchise is at, maybe we could just stop now and just focus only on Scream.
You stop now.
Next episode will be the other stuff. Now, let's jump into first. Let's jump into a little bit of the movie news, and we have really big Marvel news. The Jonathan Majors court case has found him guilty, and he is officially out as Kang, he who no longer remains. So where's this going? What are we going to be seeing with Marvel in the future? And what do we hope to see? We got Deadpool 3 coming next year, and we have the potential for some of like the more street level superheroes like Echo coming, but not a real clear sign as to overarching stories and the thing that we had with the Infinity Saga. It seems like it's all a huge mess. So I want to start with you, Brooks. What do you think is going on at Marvel, and what do you think the next steps are going to be in this Kang dynasty?
I honestly have no idea, but it does seem to be at a full halt, at least for now. And I know that there's like just turmoil and stories and rumors, and no one knows what's going on. And I don't really think they do as much as they thought either. So I think they're trying to rein everything in and maybe even kind of start from scratch if they can, in a way, and then just kind of slowly start to piece it back together the way we expect it to be.
Should we recast, Adam?
So I don't know if this is going to be a controversial opinion or not. Like, there's a ton of actors out there who could easily fulfill the role of Kang, and we know how much of the upcoming, Wave 5 and everything else was put on there. But I want to go back to the end of Loki season 2, and what I want to see is Renslayer take over the Kang the Conqueror role and make her the big bad going into the movies for the next couple phases. I think that's the most logical thing to do. And the way they set it up in Loki 2, I almost feel like Marvel was like, we might need to change everything. So they kind of left that as an outlet just in case the Jonathan Majors case came back the way it did. And I'd be perfectly fine with that because I actually like the Renslayer character a lot. I think that she brings a lot to the universe. And I'd be 100% down to seeing where she takes it and how they do some kind of little twist to make her the new Kang or whatever they want to do.
I think that's very interesting because it's not only like Loki 2 seems like it's the purest continuation of what they were planning on doing with Jonathan Majors than most everything else. Everything else seems like it's kind of being retconned or completely turned around. So as far as continuing that story, that's a good way to keep doing it and not really needing to like do too much to swap out. I mean, I think they should just embrace the George Lucas special edition thing and go back into Quantumania, go into that after credit scene and be like, it was Renslayer the whole time. But what about this minutes? Do you see anything happening with that, Jeff? Or would you rather see something like Doom show up or a bigger villain?
I was going to mention that. That's the internet chatter right now, is that they're just going to abandon the Kang thing entirely and go straight to Doom. And given how much Marvel wants to bring in other formerly non-MCU properties, I think Doom makes sense in a certain way. I also want to say, Marvel, not waiting until February when the sentencing is and going ahead and making the decision now is good. I'm not sure why you needed a conviction to make the decision, Marvel, but at least you didn't wait till February, so kudos on that. It's the right move. But I think with something like this that's going to have the stink of this terrible real-life circumstance on it, a complete right turn may not be the wrong idea. And Doom is obviously a bad worthy of Avengers-level movies.
Yeah, if you could bring in like the God Emperor Doom like he was in the comics where he was all powerful, that would be an easy way for them to kind of, he just destroyed all the Kangs in an infinite universe somehow. But God Emperor Doom could definitely have that power to do that.
Yeah, you could retcon the end of Quantumania in one little pre-credit scene of whatever the next movie is. Just have Doom come in, take care of business. It's over. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on. It's not unlike when Tony walks up and sees Don Cheadle and says, "Oh, it's you now?" And he's like, "Get over it." I mean, it could be on that level.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we know who should be recast as Kang if we're going to do this.
No one wants him.
Time. It's his next time, baby. That's this time.
Hey, I'll
I'd
take
rather have Kirk Lazarus.
I'll take an Idris Elba any day. So if they want to go there, I'm perfectly happy with that too.
There was the High Evolutionary fan thing that everybody's wanted to bring High Evolutionary into it, make him be Kang. And I also have seen, and this kind of ties into the What If series, which, by the way, episode 1 now available on Disney Plus. You can check it out, see what's going on. They also tie in Loki season 2. If you're checking out the trailers, there's stuff in the end of season 2 of Loki that they're teasing pretty blatantly in this. The first season of What If really, really pushed this superior Ultron storyline. What if they go back and bring back a villain that they maybe didn't give the right justice that they should have, and bring James Spader back, or bring somebody that it could be a modulated voice or something, but maybe it's the reign of Ultron suddenly, and he takes over as Kang.
I mean, possibly, but I'm also still not convinced that the MCU takes place in the 616 universe. So
it's the 99999 universe.
Yeah, we actually know they have it. It's not 616, so we haven't really seen possibly where the actual Marvel universe takes place.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they would show that, like the comic accurate one, or is there a chance that we did see this during the Marvels end credit scene?
I've been talking a lot. You guys have fun with that.
You're the only one who knows, though, Adam.
Well, no, I mean
for each other. I just want noises.
Well, I mean, so yeah, I know it from the comic standpoint, but if we're talking about just strictly the movie viewpoint of it, is that these stories did 100% veer off from where most of the stories in the comics went. So we've kind of been able to have this. Okay, this is like I don't want to say like the DCEU, which was separate from the TV one, but we've definitely had the comics separate from the movies because they follow different story lines and plot points. So I don't think we've really seen what the actual Marvel universe is. And I'm not going to give a spoiler away from a recent movie, but in the mid-credit scene, they may have shown the actual 616. We don't know yet. So,
Adam, are you talking about Killers of the Flower Moon?
I am, yes.
Oh my God. I knew it.
Understand.
We're talking about what Marvel should do. I think what they should not do is tie themselves in too many comic book knots to pull this off, because
Right.
it could get too complicated and way too esoteric quite quickly. I'm going to stick with what I said before. Either do a quick Don Cheadle and live with it, or complete right turn and do a completely different bad. Leave Kang for another time. That's what I think they should do.
Well, and Brooks, you read a lot more Marvel comics than I do because I kind of do the indie stuff. So what do you think? Because you're kind of more the Marvel comic guy here.
Well, I've read a lot of it, but it wasn't any of this. I bought the King stuff, and then all of the major stuff went down, and I just kind of put it on the back burner because I was like, I don't think I need to read this now.
Yeah, why invest in it? Right.
So they're sitting on my dresser.
And see, now you can read some of the good comic books I send you. So
They're there, but they're on the dresser too.
All right.
You
Final
like-
question for this before we move into the awards.
I have a
On a
pile.
scale of 1 to 10, how do you think everybody's back pain is going to be by the time King Dynasty releases? We're going to be older by that point. It's not going to be like Infinity War where I'll feel like, oh, I can still like stretch without feeling like I'm going to break something.
Well, they have the recliners in most of the theaters now, so I think we'll be okay.
Those zero gravities, they don't do your hips any favors.
And most of us take ibuprofen on a regular basis anyway, I'm sure so.
As the oldest person here, Patrick, I expect all of you to wheel me into.
It's like the meme. It's like it's been
Make a timeshare.
84 years.
Right.
I'll be walking you in because I'll need something to hold on to.
I'll be watching it on my eyelids by then.
You and your wheelchair will be my walker.
Yeah.
Enter the X-Men theme. Going through.
See, we're making our own movie.
I'm totally Professor X, but not that cool. So I'm just there in my little hover thing.
The hover thing is really just a hoverboard. All right. Well, let's get into the award season because there's a lot happening. We're seeing all of our different fellow associations in different states across the country bringing out their awards and who's won, their nominations. The Utah Film Critics Association is about to have their award stuff going down. And one day we're going to be big enough that we're going to have our own cool ass show that we can put on like Zoom or something and have little trophies. Have Aquafina come on a video and be like, thanks.
Hey, when we gave Across the Spider-Verse Film of the Year, like the Sony reached out and gave us a shout out on Twitter, and the guy who made Nimona did the same thing too.
Oh, very good.
We actually started trending a bit for Nimona, so that was
We're close. We'll get there.
we'll get there.
Utah's growing.
I'll help us get there. We'll get
Can't stop
social media going.
Well, what were the parameters that I gave you guys with this? Basically, we're not going to go too in depth with all of the like very minutia, like short film, short documentary. Some of the, I don't want to diminish it by saying the smaller awards. You know, I don't think that's the right wording for it, but maybe the ones that probably most people are going to be betting on. Is that probably the best way?
Yeah,
And I don't know if
prestige
this is
awards.
fantasy
Yeah.
draft. I know nothing about sports, so that was a shot in the
Me
dark.
neither.
Did it work? Was this the right way to say it, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the prestige awards. We don't want to say they're lesser ones because we're not the video game awards and we don't do that kind of thing. Just Google it, kids. You'll find out what I'm talking about. But no, I think there's so many things out there, and even as film critics, sometimes we can sit back and argue about what we mean exactly by best editing. So I think diving into that minutia, or how do you say it? I'm tired. Isn't going to be what everyone wants to listen to. They want to hear the whiz, boom, pow, like who's best actor, who's best actress, what's best picture. And I think that's a much more interesting topic than discussing, the way that a film was cut in a certain way to make you gasp. So,
Right. And I might throw in a curveball here and say, what do we think is going to be the Will Smith slap of award season?
Oh, wow.
Before we do that, let's just start with our acting categories. So we've got Best Actor, Best Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress. We could either go through the 4 picks, or we can kind of break this apart a little bit more. Your guys' preference.
Goes from supporting to acting, the lead.
Sweet. All right. So let's start with you, Adam. I want to hear just going down the list from actor, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress.
I mean, it's a big year. I would say for me, supporting performance male has got to be Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers. He was fantastic in that, and it's his first thing he's ever done, ever. So that's kind of my choice. But I think if I have to say who was going to win, it's got to come down between Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer or Ryan Gosling in Barbie. And I kind of think Ryan Gosling's got the edge this year. It's kind of like it's his turn. But Robert Downey Jr., like, I didn't realize it was him for the first hour of the movie because he just had
really
the black and white, the makeup. I didn't notice it. Maybe I'm stupid, or it could have been the person in the front row on Facebook for the first hour that was annoying me. But
when that happens,
yeah,
do you make a scene when that happens? Do you ever make a scene when that stuff happens?
If you're in front of me,
shush.
If you're in front of me, I do bring a bag of Skittles with me, and I'll throw them at your head.
No,
so I do 100%.
That's amazing. Strong choices. I think if anybody were to put some wagers on there, it is in a lot of ways between Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Gosling. So Jeff, what are your picks for
supporting, best supporting? I think you're right about it being between Ryan Gosling and Robert Downey Jr. I think we're right about that. My money would be, for my personal choice, if I were the one that got to decide, it would be Mark Ruffalo, because I felt like he had to inhabit something wholly strange, and the only way to do it was to lean all the way in, and he did. He did in a way that was believable. He did in a way that I thought was consistently funny and consistently human all the way through. That's not easy material he was given, and I think he absolutely nailed it. Was it strong enough to overcome the Barbie wave? I don't think so, but I would love to see Mark get a nom and a lot of support.
All right, Brooks, it comes down to me and you. Do we have any wild cards up our sleeve for best supporting?
I don't think I do, because Ryan Gosling should technically be the wild card because of the comedy aspect.
I guess it's just me then. So you're Ryan Gosling then for your pick.
Yeah, he's who I want to win. Are we talking about who won or who should? He should win.
I think so. Here's the thing. There's so many good options for this. And I do think, like, if you were to just define, like, supporting actor, what Ryan Gosling is able to do to, like, pair up with Margot Robbie and how just even the dance numbers, like, let alone all of the in-between and, like, the stupid nuance to him discovering the patriarchy and the way that they're able to just, like, interweave that with just some of the most ridiculous things. Plunger arrows with the sound effects of, like, a noise when you hit somebody else. It's amazing. But I have to say, at the end of the day, I'm looking for what not only supported everybody else, but I could not see anybody else doing this role. I see that with them, but I also see this with May December. And I do think that Charles is likely to sneak up and kind of Jamie Lee Curtis everybody and get the win.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
That's my crazy prediction. We're starting with probably my boldest one.
And see, I don't feel that Jamie Lee Curtis should have won last year. I think it was her time to win, but I would say Stephanie Hsu was the better performance. And we actually, all of us at the Utah Film Critic Association, we were the first group, like, in the country to recognize her for that performance. So, with Charles Melton, there's a lot of people on here who are good, but we could go back and say maybe it's Robert Downey Jr.'s time to get it, because he's been around for a while and look at his comeback. But I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I still put money on Downey Jr. or Ryan Gosling.
I think I'd also say Charles Melton is probably the only really good thing about that movie. The rest is Lifetime, like, melodrama.
Which it was supposed to be, but
he didn't even save it. He didn't even save it for me. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move to supporting actress, and we'll keep going down this way. So, Adam, what is your pick?
So my pick, and the one actually I think who will win and the one I want to win, is Davine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers.
Your big ones.
Don't let me go first anymore. Let everyone else have a chance. I just thought she was magical. I mean, she, as much as she is a supporting character, she almost becomes the heart and soul of that movie. And there are moments on there, especially when she's finally grasping and understanding, this is my first time without my son for Christmas. It was heart-wrenching, and it was also beautiful in the sense that it shows the grieving process, and that it doesn't just happen all at once, and you're going to have those firsts. In fact, I have a really good friend from work who lost her sister 2 years ago, and every single time a big first would happen, she would call me and we'd talk about it, and it was the first vacation without each other, the first Christmas, the first birthday, and so on. And going through those first moments is so vital in the healing process that we all have to go through when we lose someone. And she nailed that. And she also got to be funny and entertaining, and it was more than just a one-note character. And honestly, again, I can't think of a better person to win this award, and I really, really, really want to see her up there on stage giving that acceptance speech.
I'll just say that mine was also Davine Joy Randolph. I think exactly the same things that you said. She's perfect in her role, and really, The Holdovers is just so cuddly. It's just such a cuddly movie. It's cozy. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you don't have anything to do, and it's raining, and like you can go get a hot chocolate and watch a movie or something. That's the movie that you put on. And it's a shame that they're going to put the movie out on I think Peacock on the 29th. Like, come on, you got Christmas right there.
Yeah, missed opportunity there.
But Brooks, what is your pick?
I feel like there's some kind of list I'm missing. I don't know what I should be looking at. I just did not prepare at all.
Go from your head, Brooks. Go from your head.
Go through the list of what you had to do for the UCA stuff.
I didn't write them down.
Here's the list of nominees.
Filled out my ballot and sent it to Adam. I guess I could log
Go
in
with
and
your
look.
heart, Brooks, is what I'm asking.
Where is it?
Well, Patrick, while Brooks is
I
looking
should
for
be able
that,
to get back to it.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump in here. I agree with both of you. I don't think anyone is close to Davine Joy Randolph. That movie desperately needed a Greek chorus to give voice to our reaction to those two goofballs, and she was perfect. She was up for it. And you talk about supporting performances lifting everyone else. She did that. I just don't think anyone is close to her this year.
Maybe that's what you found, Brooks, while trying to think. Is like, there's not another name because there is no other name.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. We can also say, though, for Best Actress, America Ferrera with her speech in Barbie was incredible. Like, just to give props to others, I think Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, she did incredible with that. She was the thing that really grounded the film. I just hated the ending of that thing, but I think Davine is the winner for that. So let's move over to Brooks, unless you got one.
Well, no, I was confused by what Adam said, but now I've got it open.
What? Cool. All right, let's go to actress. So for me,
I'm worthless.
Brooks, you're really bringing down the big movie brand right now.
I took my med this morning
Yeah.
too.
I took my meds this morning too, and I'm a legitimate crazy person. But
but mine's only been like a week and a half.
Brooks, we're going to talk about this at the next step.
we're gonna beef Brooks. Think you can come on the show and give me like low energy?
I think we won't
ramble on big movie.
we won't dive into the drama in his life today with his child who's not feeling well. So
Yeah.
I would be very tired too if I was.
So many people have been sick. Now I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, we got about 4 hours of sleep.
Oh, poor Sid.
I'm stumbling
Speedy
through.
recovery. Yeah.
We got you, Brooks.
I think this Best Actress is also kind of in the bag for Lily Gladstone. Much like with Davine, she's stretched so far out ahead of the rest of the competition to me that I think the safest bet is to go with her if you're going to be putting anybody up on your roster and trying to make any money off of it. But at the same time, like, I don't know, there is a huge argument for Margot Robbie, and my personal pick, the one that I think needs to do it, is Emma Stone. That she was able to accomplish so much with that role.
Mm-hmm.
I think she deserves it the most, but I do think Lily Gladstone is the more, I don't know, you're more likely to win with that one.
It's a very understated performance, and that's what I really liked about it the most. She does so much with very little. and like the least amount of dialogue in probably the entire movie. Just the way she says things, the looks she gives, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, you mind if I jump in?
No, go ahead. I'm talking too much. So
I mean, guys, look, Lily Gladstone was my pick from the minute I saw that film until I saw Poor Things, because I do think Emma Stone deserves this award. I don't think she's going to win. I do agree that Lily Gladstone is going to win. And frankly, I'm totally fine with that, because I thought, talk about heart and soul of a film. She is asked to do a lot with very little. She gets screen time, but not a lot of script time. And she's really, really wonderful. And she grounds all those super hostile male energies that are around her in a really important way, I think, in that film. It's a long film, and she helps it not feel so long because she's so great. But Emma Stone, man, I mean, that easily could have been an Eddie Redmayne over-the-top, ridiculous performance. And she's so in the pocket the entire time. I just really loved it. So my heart wants Emma Stone, but my brain knows it's going to be Lily Gladstone.
My mind's telling me no.
Yep.
Yep, I'm with you.
No, I'm right there with you. What counts is that I want Emma Stone to win. That's my I think what I've considered the best performance of the year. But Lily Gladstone was fantastic, and for me, she nailed every single moment. And like you had mentioned before, was that she does it with a look, and it's very rare that you can get that much of a performance and that amount of emotion and intent from just like a wink of the eye or nod of the head. Not saying that she did that, but that's just like a very basic thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And she's portraying so much of the performance through such small, like the little smile she gives every so often. It's like, like, you know what you're doing, and you're doing it in a masterful way. So yeah, I would say this is definitely going to go to Lily Gladstone. But I'm all about Emma Stone. And if it goes to either one, I will be completely happy. I don't. And honestly, Margot Robbie is Barbie. I think that was fantastic too. Like it's so funny because we talked about on Big Movie Mouth Off with the episode coming out, was that our top fives changed so much. Like it was like week to week. It was like, oh wait, no, now it's this and now it's this. And it was just an embarrassment of riches. And that's spilled over into all these categories. Like the actor category, male and female, is just, there's so much good there. And it'll be interesting to see how next year is. But this year, it's hard to choose. But if I had to put money on it, I would do Lily Gladstone.
Right. It's a stacked competition. And Adam, I just want to inform you, I do think you've got an alien or something behind you. There's something just, I don't know what that is. And I'm...
Oh, so it's these little little cube lights that Clark. So this is Clark's office because he works from home.
Close
and this
encounters of the third. Yeah, I'm looking at this. Just it's going on. It's Morse code.
Well, I've got this little like mountain made of mashed potatoes that you can't see. So
UHF style, hopefully.
Right, exactly.
It means
got to throw the poster behind.
It does. There you go. But yeah, that's the aliens do come visit, and then there's a different story I can tell you off mic about why we like the aliens. So
ooh, that'll be on the After Hours show.
It'll be Patrick Beatty reviews After Dark.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. All right, let's move into actor, and then let's see. So actor, I'll go first with this one. It's going to be Cillian Murphy. No question about it. I do not see Zac Efron as much as I would like him to. I do not see Paul Giamatti, though I would very much like him to as well. At the end of the day, I think Oppenheimer is going to win a lot of stuff. And it's probably going to start with Cillian Murphy. Let's go, Jeff.
I totally agree. I think Giamatti's wonderful, but best actors don't come out of ensemble products. It just doesn't work that way. Cillian Murphy has a lot of heavy lifting to do in this movie. I mean, I said it's a movie about a genius, told by a genius, and to live up to all that intellect and to do it in a way that totally tracks and stays with you long after you've left the theater. It's a masterpiece performance. I think he's going to win.
Yep. Whoops.
Yeah, he's going to take it. The only other, we nominated a lot of good people. I mean, I didn't love All of Us Strangers as a whole, but
blasphemy.
Andrew Scott gave a spectacular.
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful, no doubt.
And then Bradley Cooper in Maestro, he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Yeah, Paul Giamatti might get nominated, but kind of just because he's Paul Giamatti, because he really was just playing himself.
Dare you?
He's just always playing the same character, which is great. It's fine. We love it.
I hope
It's like-
it's VFX for his eye.
It's like almost every single Nicolas Cage movie, like especially in Renfield, they just said, "Hey, Nick, go on stage, wear these fangs, and now be yourself." That's kind of how Paul Giamatti is these days, which is not talking smack on Paul Giamatti. 'Cause he's awesome.
They're like, hey, Paul, I'll be the grumpy old man in yellow.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to start ripping on Merlot in that movie, but he didn't do it.
No. No, he was into the hard and heavy liquor.
Yeah, he was.
Like, nope.
Hey, and dealing with that many high schoolers, I don't blame him. So,
But you did really bring up a good point with Maestro, Brooks. I think Bradley Cooper, he has been, I don't want to say campaigning the hardest, but campaigning the hardest. Like anytime I see him on camera, he is, he's so in the pocket about when you're acting and like how in depth he gets to about it. The way he talks about that 6-minute conducting scene that just, it really is one of the most profound moments this year as far as films go, that like you just sit there and watch the entire thing. Another one for me is Past Lives, the last part where they're both standing and staring at each other.
Yeah, that movie.
I could watch it for forever. It's just it's like it's something elevated than just a good thing. It's like you're seeing tons of things happening in the best way possible. I don't know. The more I think about that, the more Bradley Cooper could really tie this up.
Sneak in.
Yeah. But Andrew Scott also, I really wish would have more. Just give him more roles. Like, and that's all I care about. It's like, now recognize the strength of the sexy Pope and get him involved in other stuff. We need just Moriarty and sexy Pope. He's very sexy in this too. We just got to get him going in the other stuff.
yeah. And Andrew Scott's on my top list, but then also All of the Strangers was my favorite film of the year for lots of reasons that we won't go into here. But I'm right with everyone else. Cillian Murphy's going to take it. That said, though, I really would like to see a lot of love for Coleman Domingo from Rustin. I mean, he just disappears into this character, and you only see Rustin on screen. And not just that, but the story is so interesting about the man who really orchestrated the March on Washington in his time when not only being, an African American was looked down on, but a gay African American, like it's accomplishing all this without anyone's help, and he just nails it. Like, he's magnetic. Every second he's on screen, like, you can't take your eyes away. So he's not going to get it. He might get a nomination, but Coleman Domingo is one to keep an eye out for going forward. But
It's on the color purple.
You're right too for American.
Yeah. But
yeah,
but Cillian Murphy's the one who's got it. So
I think so. But again, so stacked. Let's move into the big leagues here and talk about Best Director. I think there could be a lot of potential here for all of us to have different picks for it. But let's start with Brooks, because he just gave a look, and I need to know what that look is. Well, what was the most obvious answer that you were like,
Well, the most obvious answer is Christopher Nolan.
oh my goodness.
He just knocks it out of the park. It's Christopher Nolan at his most Nolianist, but in all the best ways. And the fact that and he does it all with a 3-hour R-rated drama. So take that. And Martin Scorsese did too. I mean, I went in expecting Killers of the Flower Moon to be so dour and boring, and just I was like, I'm never gonna make it through this movie, and it just blew me away. I love that movie so much. It's the Scorsese movie he thought he was making when he did The Irishman. So
Yeah, but in this time, if they were going to do any de-aging, they'd put in a stunt double to do the fighting, and not let 80-year-old Bobby De Niro try to fight somebody and kick down while also trying to stabilize himself.
maybe that's why Harrison Ford decided he could do it.
Oh,
I almost went there. I was about to go there, Brooks.
Didn't he? Or it was all him?
But did it way better if he did
Oh.
do it.
That
Except for his voice. They didn't de-age his voice.
Or when he walks away at
that's
the
the
beginning.
problem, right?
That's what sucks me out. Like, it looks great. They did a fantastic job with it, but every time he talks, it's old man Harrison Ford, and you're just like, nope.
Yep. You can't leave anything out when you're doing that. If you're going to go back, you got to go back with the voice, the mannerisms, everything. Get somebody that can like impersonate someone like to a T and have them just impersonate him for like whatever movement you need. And then, I don't know, do what they're doing with James Earl Jones now.
Yeah.
I am to the point
You
where
got
you
Indiana,
can say whatever you want.
Indiana Jones being Mary and bring me my shawl.
So what we're saying is you should always go full de-aging.
Never go full de-aging. No, but I think we're missing out on Greta Gerwig here. Like, that's the elephant in the room, right?
Here's what I think, and this is
the most lucrative film of the whole year, right? The one that everybody talks about. She gave some of the best memes of the year. Arguably, Barbenheimer wouldn't exist without Barbie, and it still would have the same hype without Oppenheimer, right? That's kind of true. I think it elevated Oppenheimer instead of the opposite.
In terms of ticket sales, I think you're right. Look, Nolan should win. I think it's his best directing performance. He should win. I want Yorgos Lanthimos to win because I think he takes the biggest swing and he makes contact. But the choice this year really is between subtle, traditional, beautiful filmmaking and pyrotechnic risk-taking. Those are the choices this year. And for me, Nolan, Yorgos, I'm going back and forth between. I can't make up my mind from day to day, but it doesn't matter because, Patrick, I think you're right. Gerwig's going to win.
What?
I think she's going to win.
Nothing. I just wanted to throw in the option.
I think she's going to win. I think she's going to sneak up and take it.
I'm okay with that. I think Celine Song also has potential. Past lives. I mean, talk about subtle. Yeah, I know that's not a dig.
It's way too subtle.
I didn't mean it as a dig either. Yeah,
I did.
I saw
I will.
This is one of my things. I think they've done it a lot more in recent years. Not so much last year, but where they've split. If we're talking about the Oscars specifically, splitting the director and the Best Picture award. It used to be that was never happening. Then it kind of has for a couple of years. Again, if I'm choosing my pick, it's Nolan and Lanthimos. I think they did a fantastic job. Greta Gerwig is too. There's so much good stuff out there, but I'm almost kind of wondering if they're gonna, because Scorsese's getting up there, and is it quote unquote his time again? Because he's been nominated a bunch of times, but he hasn't gotten much in the last almost 20 years. Yeah. So are they going to pull the, hey, this is your legacy lifetime award because you've done so much, or are they actually going to give it to the person who they think deserves it? Which isn't to say Flower Moon isn't a fantastic movie, because Brooks, you went on about how much you loved it. And I was surprised by that. I think you were too.
Oh, yeah.
So is it going to go to the best director, or are we going to do the, hey, here's your Lifetime Achievement Award type thing?
Adam, you're right, because every year the Oscars does a couple of things. Other than just give awards, they do a couple of things. They do Lifetime Achievement Awards. They definitely do that. And they also always, at least once, thank somebody from the industry, because that person did so much for movies that year. And I think that's Greta Gerwig. I think the Academy's going to thank her for what she did for movies this year.
Take that, Tom Cruise.
Because if it wasn't for Barbie, the box office already this year didn't match previous expectations, but yeah, it was like that, and Oppenheimer really brought it in. So I don't know. I honestly, looking at the top contenders right now, I like all of them, and I'd be happy generally if any of them did win. I've got my favorites, but I can just, like I said, the embarrassment of riches. It's just been such a great year.
Sure has.
Well, I think I'm with most of us on Oppenheimer and Nolan taking this, but I do agree. The more that there's like these side awards and stuff like that, the more potential for the popular film to get that. Maybe even in that popular film, like Zack Snyder in his Justice League, when they botted the award for best standing and rousing cheering moment for a streaming film. How do they know who stood up and cheered? I want the footage.
They're spying on you.
It's just like one guy like you just gotta.
It was one of those Disney extras.
Oh man,
I was cheering. I'm not afraid to admit it. I loved it.
I love Zack Snyder Justice League. It was great, but that was fake. Whatever that whole thing was.
The only reason why people were standing up and cheering was because their butts were so numb for sitting for 3 hours. They were just happy for it to be over.
They're like, yes, this is our time.
I don't know.
Both of you hush right now.
It was
No, I like.
You're not slamming the movie.
I like.
Oh,
I like
It's the award.
no, I had to.
because it was like it's so good.
No, I like the Zack Snyder cut a lot. I actually do like Zack Snyder. I think he needs someone to restrain his id. But that just it's a 3-hour movie. Come on, like even Killers of the Flower Moon. I stood up once or twice. So
All right, well, that's our best
Movies
directors.
I
So
have to.
let's move over to best ensemble cast. I think this is going to be something going in the rounds for a lot of organizations, and this is, I don't know, it's a good way to reward the people that have been, involved in the whole thing. We've talked about individual stuff, but first, Adam, tell me who you think is going to be the best ensemble for this year.
see this one's hard. Personal choice, I want to go with the Holdovers. Because as Count, you mentioned that Paul Giamatti being part of an ensemble cast probably won't be recognized as the best actor, male actor in this category, or for acting categories. But it really does. Like everyone we've mentioned for the different awards, like we had supporting with Davine Joy Randolph, Dominic Sessa. Those 3 people carry a movie, and it's very difficult for 3 people to carry an entire movie. One reason why I like All of Us Strangers is because we have 4 people carrying an entire film for 2 hours. I don't know if it's going to be recognized, but I mean, that would be my choice as far as, hey, let's reward this film for everything that was done as a collective. Honestly, if I had to say what's going to win, it's Barbie. I think everything in there clicks so perfectly. We've already talked about the fantastic job that Margot Robbie's done, American Ferrera, Ryan Gosling. So I have to go with Barbie on that one.
Brooks, what do you think?
I mean, mine's not nominated. It never would. And it was going to be Scream 6 until I saw Thanksgiving. So here we are.
Gary, bring Scream 6 into this. I thought we got past it.
No, Thanksgiving is the better movie. We know I love Ghostface.
Oh,
His name's Sydney. Thanksgiving's the better movie.
Interesting.
You want my voodoo login to prove it? I'll give it to you. Because I bought it, and I'm very happy I did. But as far as what actually has a chance, I mean, my favorite probably is a toss-up between Oppenheimer and Air. I mean,
Air did have a great ensemble.
and it really was. Yeah, it was a fantastic ensemble cast. So those are my 2. I don't know how Iron Claw got nominated in ours. I have no idea.
Wait, you don't know how it did?
Nope.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to drama. Brooks, I bring you onto the show, right? And I think we're having a good time. And then you just missed one of the best films of the year. Gave your answer, and then you're like, but also that one. Jeez.
You're on Big Movie Mouth Off right now, Patrick.
You just got
new.
This is our show now.
This is our show now. We are the Borg. We've assimilated you.
Oh, Jeff, save us. What's your pick?
I mean, it's not going to be controversial. I do think The Holdovers is the best ensemble performance. I honestly don't know why Oppenheimer's even nominated in this category. I disagree with you, Brooks. I don't think that's an ensemble movie. It's got a big cast, yes, but it's a lot of individuals. I don't see it as an ensemble, but I think The Holdovers, particularly because of how easy it is for like other characters to slot into what the 3 of them are doing just at will. The janitor he pops in here and there, and it's just perfect. They leave a space for him on the couch, and it's just perfect. I think Holdovers is the best ensemble. I think Barbie is also fantastic, and Barbie's probably going to edge out The Holdovers. I think The Holdovers is going to be one of those movies that probably gets shut out this year, which is disappointing. Because except for Divine, I think she's going to win hands down. But other than that, it's probably not going to get much love, which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, Adam, are you going with Holdovers also, or are you?
No, I'm going to go with probably Barbie winning, but I want Holdovers to win. So,
You see, I think Iron Claw really did shoot themselves in the foot by not going forward with releasing this earlier for most of these organizations to vote on. Because I know in a lot of cases, they were only doing the limited screenings in New York and LA, and all the people in between weren't able to get it before they sent something out even. And it really is one of those films where the cast is so incredibly strong. and Zac Efron, not only being physically strong, but the way that he's able to interact with everybody, and you see how much the brotherly love is there in that film, and how it's so tangible, even towards the end, where I don't know, it probably wasn't Brooks because he doesn't have a heart, but I was crying.
I don't have a heart, and I don't like my brothers.
You don't like the brothers. Well,
I don't like my brothers.
oh, well,
I have no brotherly
either.
love in my
Doesn't
life,
mean I can't feel.
aside from my friends.
Well, and there's also that I will watch Jeremy Allen White read the phone book. So
Oh yeah, and then rip the phone book with his bare hands. I'll do the bare hands.
Jeremy Smash.
But I also think we're sleeping on Air because Air was incredible. Whereas one was thinking too, but I just forgot it. Shoot,
See,
Poor
it came out so early.
I think Poor Things has an incredible ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe, Mark Ruffalo. You've got what's his name? Remy. You know,
Yusuf.
Remy Youssef. They all work so well together, and really, that's a pretty small cast if you're looking at story and everything. Holdovers is the one that I want to win, but weirdly enough, I think a lot of this is going to end up going to Oppenheimer and Barbie. So for this, I'll flip a coin. It's Barbie for today. That'll be the one. But let's see. Animated feature. Now, the Utah Film Critics Association has a history with animation, particularly. We love it, and we will nominate it for Best Picture. Don't test us.
yeah, and ask Sony.
Ask your friends. Ask Sony. Ask
This year.
But what do we think about this year? Because we do have a new Spider-Verse film. I would arguably say one half of a Spider-Verse film, but
True.
It's me. And we've got a few other ones that are fascinating. I'm gonna start this off by saying I hope it's not The Boy and the Heron.
No.
Disappointing. Very disappointing.
Thank goodness you all think the same. It was
Very
I thought
It was like watching a greatest hits.
I thought in the first hour I was in for a real special movie, and then the last hour it just completely falls apart.
Mhm. I couldn't
Mhm.
agree with you more. For me, the animated film that spoke to me the most, that I have to say, you know, there's a childhood advantage because I grew up with the nostalgia, but it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
It's so good.
They're able to do something.
My number two.
Right. The same thing that we've done with the Spider-Verse film and with the animation, blending 2D and 3D, having its own visual style that's unique. It's not like Pixar. You don't have the puffed up faces and the weird felty people walking around. It looks different, and it looks rough, a little bit like unfinished in a lot of situations.
Doodles.
Like Doodles, totally. And I just loved the homages to the video games, to Go Ninja Go with Vanilla Ice. Like everything about this film just screamed, Patrick, you want to nominate this for Best Animated. And I dribbled down pizza, and I was like, yes, I will. And I ended up, that's where I am left off. So if you lose money, I don't care. That's the one I'm going to make people vote on.
Good luck with that. I control the floor when that happens. So
And I'll be through Zoom.
yeah, actually, and hopefully that time will work for you. So we'll have that Zoom link out. A different conversation for the UFCA. So here's the thing: Spider-Verse is going to win, hands down. That's your moneymaker for this. And it is obviously my favorite animated film of the year. As we talked about on the upcoming episode of Big Movie, like the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, is one of my top 10 films of all time, and this one one-upped it. I don't know how they did it, how they managed to make the animation better, the emotion better, but they did. However, I would love for Nimona to see some love too, because Nimona was one that really surprised me. In fact, we got a little poster from the studio, and I was like, what the heck is this? It makes no sense. And then I watched the film, and I'm drying the tears from my eyes. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. It's yeah,
There it is.
the poster right there. It's almost like a Mondo poster. It's so well done.
It's so great.
Fantastic story. The voice acting is incredible. I love the fact that we got to have LGBT representation as just, hey, this is a normal everyday aspect of life, which for, I would say 99% of us people in the LGBT community, that's what it is. It was everything about it was just so amazing. I love like the premise, everything about it. So if you haven't seen it, I believe it's on Netflix. Just go watch it. It's not that long. You'll love it. And if it wasn't for Spider-Verse, that would be my number one pick to win. But I really think it's going to Spider-Verse. Boy and the Heron has a chance being Miyazaki's like quote unquote swan song, but I don't.
It's not already. He already said, I'm back.
Yeah, I know, but you know how
It's like a WWE wrestler. He keeps showing up again.
well, it's like Kiss going on tour for the final time again. So, but yeah, Spider-Verse will win, but Nimona, I'd be very happy to see.
I don't think Spider-Verse is going to win, Adam. There's your hot take.
I'm in a tug of war.
It is not so in the bag as you
That's
think.
because your brain's filled with pizza.
Because it's not a full movie. My belly's filled with fullness, but not
Like
that.
the only thing anyone ever can complain about with the movie is that. Boo, it ends on a cliffhanger. The first one basically does too.
But it's way more of a complete story than this one. Like this,
But it feels like such a jaw dropper to think you're like, you just sat through this entire movie and now there's going to be another entire movie. It leaves your mind boggled.
in 4 to 5 years. Maybe that's part of it though, is because we know how much further it's going to be till this one. To me, it's kind of like it's like judging like some gymnast doing a floor dismount and like judging her half flip. And it's like, maybe we should wait until she lands it and see if
Make sure it doesn't turn into
because
Final
they're
Destination.
continuing the story. If it fails this last one, if it pulls a Mockingjay, then the Catching Fire isn't as strong.
You know, Patrick, I can only do a half flip and land on my face. That's all you can judge me on.
Everyone can do the first half. Of the flip.
Exactly.
Pool will be good. It'll support us.
I will say it is nice that Turtles was a full realized start to finish movie.
Mhm.
Even if it does have like that mid-credit scene, but still.
And I think I don't know. It could go both ways, but my only argument is Spider-Man, you're not so safe with this, okay? The Turtles are in town, and they might. It's my weird the Al Yankovic story. I'm gonna fight to the death for this movie.
Hey, Spider-Man got shit out of the Game Awards, so it had better win here. So
Right. What was it? It was Baldur's Gate 3.
It's
Baldur's
between
Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3 and what's the Zelda?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Those
Baldur's Gate 3
are shocking
won.
for everything. I know it won, but
yeah.
lots of publications are voting for Tears of the Kingdom because I think it's between those two. But look, everything on this list is really good this year, except for Boy and the Heron. I think that's hugely disappointing.
Yeah.
I was so bummed. I was so bummed. And I'm glad to see people talking about Robot Dreams. I don't think many of us would have even watched it had not Neon sent it to us as critics. We didn't know about it, but it's really very good. It doesn't stack up to the others because its ambitions are so small by comparison. And you guys are right. Spider-Man's great. Turtles is fantastic. Nimona in any other year would win. There's such strong contenders here. I think it's probably going to be Spider-Man. I'd be totally fine with Turtles, but I'm just glad people are at least talking about Robot Dreams because that movie should be seen.
100%.
Let's move into documentaries. Now, documentary, I saw a report, I think it was Variety, but I'm probably misremembering. Something to the extent of this year, documentaries felt like they kind of died. There wasn't any clear, very, very strong winner. In my mind, there is. And I want to know if it's the same with you guys, but it kind of seems like it could go either way. So, Jeff, let's go kick it back to you. What are your thoughts on what the best wager would be for documentary?
For my money, it's The Mission because I think,
The movie just shouldn't have been made. He got what he deserved.
Hey,
well,
let him cook. Let him cook, Brooks. Let him cook.
No, I think The Mission because I think that kind of story, that kind of, post-colonial cluelessness is something that a lot of people can relate to in some way, either from their reading or their lives. And I think that there's a lot on that story to latch onto. You will not like these people at all. Not just the main character, but the people that are talking about the main character. There's a lot in this film not to like, and there's a lot in this film to be very suspicious of in terms of the way humans interact. But I think it's well put together. I think it tells the story in a way that's great. It's just like the movie about rescuing the kids that Jimmy Chin and Chai Vassarelli did a couple years ago. I'm drawing a blank on what that was called, where they had to swim into the cave and rescue the kids. But when it's a story that you know the ending of, it's difficult to make a movie length treatment because you already know. And this was one such story. And I think they did a good job. They spool it out in the right way and the interviews aren't irritating. I think that movie's the strongest of the contenders. Although it's either going to be Mariupol or American Symphony, because people will not stop talking about American Symphony.
Really? Why?
Brooks, you know what? We're kick it to you now, because you've got hot documentary take, and I'm excited. So, Mission, I agree. Trash. Sorry, Jeff.
Ugh, I hate it. I hate watch that movie. The Mission was my zone of interest.
I felt so bad for the dad, but
Hey, I had statements update to zone of interest.
well, I know, but a
Still,
10-minute
your initial reaction.
story about all of that.
I
YouTube doc.
the only ones that stick out for me. I love Still. Still was amazing, especially the way that they kind of made like a movie within a movie using clips from his movies. I love the way it was put together, but that doesn't make it the best. It's the most enjoyable. My two would be either Beyond Utopia or 20 Days of Mariupol, because that's just, they're important, they're timely, and some may think they're boring. Probably is Mariupol more so than Beyond Utopia, because that thing's just a riveting thriller from start to finish. These people, the people in Mariupol are dying or dead, because there's a lot of on-screen death. But like with Utopia, you don't know what's going to happen if you haven't looked into it at all. So for me, I was like, I had no idea whether they were going to live or not. And that just made it the strongest.
I wholeheartedly agree. Mariupol, I saw that at Sundance, and I remember I almost had to just stop watching things for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it is a lot.
This is rough in every sense of the word. When you just hear kids screaming, and not just oh, stub your toe, but the real
Blood curdling,
instinctual guttural noises, that it just broke me. And still, I've got a lot of, I guess, personal attachments to that, because my stepdad has Parkinson's, and seeing this and seeing he has Michael J. Fox's book, he gave it to everybody because he wanted to explain what Parkinson's was to all of us when he first was diagnosed. And it's always kind of been a thing. And that documentary does such a great job of showing kind of that optimism within kind of an impossible diagnosis. It keeps getting worse and worse. And seeing the hope come from Michael J. Fox, as well as in kind of embracing the suck in a lot of it too. It was really inspiring. So I think both could work. Adam, do you have any that we haven't mentioned so far?
So honestly, I do have to abstain from this because of the 6 movies I need to watch before we can vote for our documentaries. I didn't get to see much this year.
They don't blame you.
I'm kidding. That's not a curve. That doesn't deserve a curve.
I'm not sending you the Zoom link
much.
now. So no, but I will say I did watch The Mission, and I did actually like it a lot. But I will also mention that as someone who was raised in a fundamentalist evangelical upbringing, church, school, all that kind of stuff, it was very hard for me to watch, not because I didn't know where it was going to go, but because the language they were speaking or the things they were showing was this was a life I lived that was very scarring towards me. There was a lot of things that memories and things that brought up from my childhood that I didn't repress, but I thought I kind of pushed past them. But it was, it did bring memories to light that weren't pleasant. So if you've been in that kind of upbringing, if you live that life and you do have some trauma associated with it, just so you know, it could resurface. So I know people like to make fun of trigger warnings, but guess what? They're real. It doesn't mean you're walking on eggshells. It means this is something that you could watch that may bring back memories you may not want to have anymore, or you thought you were through. Especially if you grew up in that very fundamentalist, evangelical type upbringing. But I liked it. I don't think it's going to be the best documentary, because I'm really excited to see still the Michael J. Fox story and Mariupol, but it's on Disney Plus, Hulu, so you can easily see it, and I think it's worth watching. I think it's done well, but I can't weigh in, unfortunately, on anything else, because that's my homework for the holiday weekend. So,
well, speaking of trigger warnings, if Patrick's right, that movie might remind you of the worst movie you ever saw. I think he's wrong, but
Mother?
No, yeah, exactly.
I think, Mother. Ooh. More like Mother. And that's what I would say about that.
About which? The Mission or Mother?
Mother.
But undecided.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one here. Actually, we're kicking at about an hour, so we can wrap this up with Best Picture, but I do have a few others, so it's up to you guys. If you got to go, no worries.
We're with you.
I'm with you. Yeah.
All right, let's hold hands and jump into this. We're gonna quickly kick off with all of the kind of technical awards here. So we're just gonna list them all, starting with the makeup and hairstyling, costume, and set design. I think all of this. First of all, I didn't put a space there. All of this is going to be Poor Things.
Yep. Moving on.
Yep.
There's definitely
100%
for Barbie. A huge,
Yeah.
but I was so enamored by the set design of Poor Things, and like hearing that they actually built full like environments for her to walk through and like get lost in. It sounds insane to me.
Yeah.
It's
You can
stunning.
compare them, obviously, too.
It's stunning.
Yeah, the way it goes, and this is more for cinematography later, but the switch from black and white into color, and it really, I kind of use Wizard of Oz as kind of a metaphor for Poor Things as far as how it changed. But then the backdrops, we've got like the hand painted, it's you got to see it to understand it. But Barbie has a very strong case, and I would not be sad if Barbie won, but I really feel Poor Things.
All right. Well, that was a lot faster than I thought it'd be. This one, I was like, oh, okay, we got a lot to do. Poor Things. All right. Well, let's actually move on and do cinematography. Adam, let's start with you. Who are you thinking is going to take cinematography?
It's so hard. There's so much good stuff out there. I wouldn't be sad if any of these movies won, but I got to go Oppenheimer. I think the way that they balanced the two different stories bouncing back and forth between the black and white and the color, and just the way they presented scenes, especially with the test at Los Alamos, it's masterful. And Brooks, I mean, County said it earlier. It's a genius making a movie about a genius, and I really think that fell over into the director of photography as well. But Poor Things too. I can't complain. Like it's just fantastic. So I think it's going to go to Oppenheimer, but Poor Things is a close second, and I will be there cheering and clapping, standing up, unlike the Zack Snyder stuff, if it does win.
We'll record you if you do it. I want proof.
Yeah.
Sir, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Anybody else who's got any other?
I definitely think best cinematography, The Mission. I'm kidding. Of course, I'm joking.
Don't make me come over there.
I'm going to mention that movie for everyone.
I know where you live. I will come down there with my shame bell.
I know where you're sitting.
No, I do. I think you're right about Oppenheimer and Poor Things. Those two are going to probably lead the pack, but I don't want to forget Maestro. I feel like that movie has some of the most special moments of the year and some of the most beautifully shot moments of the year. Carey Mulligan's death scene, where you see through her eyes out the window, and he stays on it long enough to show Lenny running to catch up with his daughter. I mean, little stuff like that, little choices like that where patience is required. I think the cinematography of Maestro is fantastic. I don't think it'll win, but I did want to mention it.
We didn't really mention Maestro for director too with Bradley Cooper.
Agreed. It's the same conversation, really. And I mean, we could talk about it in editing as well. It really succeeds on all those technical levels too.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to throw in Saltburn into the ring on this.
I was literally just thinking about that too.
I think Saltburn has some incredible cinematography through that maze, through just the way that they shot some of the costumes that they have. Saltburn might also be pretty, I don't know, probably wouldn't win, but it would be up in the higher list for costume design and stuff too. But otherwise, Past Lives, I think, has some really great cinematography, and
I like the way that they shot the city scenes. It
Right.
felt big with them just kind of there with everything going on behind them. I did like the cinematography in them.
Manning shot from the bridge connecting to the other bridge as they're just walking through.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching that just kind of like falling over with like, this is cinema. Cinema coma. Any other
comment?
No
No comment. So
no others?
I think it's like
Yeah,
we're seeing the same two are just popping up like left and right. So
especially as we get further up the list.
So adapted and original screenplay, we're just gonna skip it because I don't think anybody even knows the difference between the two when it comes to the voting. Like,
I mixed mine up.
Well, it's so hard to. They don't put that on the IMDb credits of like this was an adapted or original. You've got to
Right.
You have
gotta
to
Well,
dig
I
for it.
will give a huge thanks to Brooks, because as I was writing the press release for the UFC awards, he was pointing out that for some of the adapted ones, I was also including the original writer because they included on the stupid IMDb and Wikipedia page, and that's all I have to go off of. So
I was
Brooks,
like, you
thank
have to
very
click
much
into it. Click into music.
for making sure I don't look like more of an idiot than I already am.
Or no,
But it was,
screenplay.
yeah. But thank you.
Well, we're one more away from Best Picture here. So let's go into Best International Film,
Mhm.
which some have argued that there could be a case for Past Lives being both international and Best Picture. To me, I feel like it is skewed a little bit more towards the Best Picture side. But for international, I've got to say Radical was an excellent film. I don't think I connected to Zone of Interest the way everybody else did.
I still haven't seen it.
To me, it felt too slow. Anatomy of a Murder. I know we have a few critics that really, really like that too. To me, I was like, courtroom drama, awesome, but
It's
again,
too long. It's way too long. It was like half hour shorter.
and if I've got to hear that song one more time, the 50 Cent one,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's instrumental too. It's not even the actual song, which frustrates you even more. They're like, keep hitting that beat. We're gonna keep doing this. Yeah. Any other picks that you guys were leaning more towards? Perfect Days. Let's see. What was the one that Brooks, me and you were nerding about? When
Godzilla.
Evil Lurks.
What did you say?
It was When Evil Lurks, right? Or
Oh
Evil
man,
Inside.
that movie. That was so good. I tried to get people to watch it. I don't think they did, because it's a horror movie. I know Counts would be out, so
Totally out. Yeah. I stopped listening.
he wouldn't even give it the time of day.
I stopped listening. What are we talking about?
Well, what would your your international film be?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, going off of like what we have nominated, I've only seen two, and it's not going to be The Taste of Things, because I don't think a cooking show should be a movie, but there they are. So
I mean, The Menu was a cooking show, and that was a movie.
that wasn't about the cooking though. That was about
Anyone seen
Eric.
Society of Snow?
No, haven't seen
yeah.
Society of Snow.
Adam,
That's
I
one of
thought
my-
Adam
It's
did.
on my list.
That's one of my 6 I gotta watch.
Yeah.
That's a intense film. There's also one called Monster that's really good.
Oh, I
too.
saw that in their emails.
I think I'm gonna have a
Charlotte
hard
Theron?
time. Oh yeah.
That's
Sorry. I think I'm gonna have a hard time being talked out of Zone of Interest. I can advocate for that film. I think it's very unique. It's an idea that is debatable in terms of whether or not we needed it in our lives to show the day-to-day comings and goings of a pampered family, you know, of which the dad is the leader of a death camp. I mean, did we need to see that little slice of humanity with all that terrible stuff going on just over the wall? But the fact that you never were able to forget about the stuff over the wall because you hear it in the background the entire time, and the way the film's edited, the way the film is acted, I loved it. It made my top 5 of all movies this year, The Zone of Interest, and I would love to see it win. I think it could win the Oscar. I don't think it's going to win UFCA. I know us. We're going to vote for Godzilla -1. I know us. Yeah,
I've been waiting for someone to bring
which I loved. Don't get me wrong. I will not be sad.
We
if
love our underdogs.
We're known for that we have one award every year. That's got to be the crazy one. I will say that the Zone of Interest, I hate watched it. I walked out angry and just upset that I had to sit through 2 hours of that kind of crap. But Counts, you were the one, we spent some time talking about it, and the whole point of the movie is not just showing the inhumanity of the Nazis by showing them as normal humans, but the point that kind of opened my eyes to be like, hey, I was blinded by my preconceived notions, my preconceived experiences, was that these were monsters. These were horrible people. And Counts, you said it best. It's so much easier to view Nazis as the monsters with the horns and the tail and the pitchfork, when in reality they were people.
Yeah.
And that's a scarier prospect to realize that it's people that do that, not demons. And yes, they were demons and they were horrible people, and we should definitely, reprobates of all of history, but they were still people. And that was a good point that I made that I didn't even think of. And that makes it much more of a horror movie than you would have thought of going in. So do I ever want to watch it again? Absolutely not. Never again. I'm done with it. I'd still hate watch it again to this day, but it doesn't change the fact that it did make an important point that sadly, I think in this day and time, we still need to make again, because we kind of see things, especially with the recent political climate, kind of rolling backwards. But see it once, never see it again. And I will not be surprised if it wins UFCA, and I know it'll take the Oscar. So
It's got a really
Might
weird.
vote against -1 on here.
Oh, I love -1. No, that's my favorite of the growth, but I think Zone's gonna win. So
Well, Brooks, you're gonna go.
All right, nice. You would say so.
All
Well,
right.
I'm not changing my vote. So.
It's got the same issue that Iron Claw did, in my opinion, where no one marketed for it to get nominated for Best International. It just came out of nowhere and shook everybody to be like, look at this.
Except for me, I guess.
Mm. Then us Americans, we tried to throw in the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer, thinking we're all slick. And like, check out this version of the other Godzilla, and it's just ridiculous.
hey, porque
Hey.
todos dos. So
Is
We
Kong
can have our cake and
right
eat it
now?
too.
Why does Kong have a metal arm?
I don't know. I want to know. Why do you think
Why
I'm
is
counting
Godzilla
down?
running like a full-grown adult? It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Some of us are counting down for Pinkzilla, okay?
he's the $10 billion gorilla. So there you go.
I want to know what's going on in that trailer. It's ridiculous. All right. Before we get to Best Picture, I want to thank my guests for coming on the show. Y'all were amazing. Big Movie Mouth Off. Make sure you guys are checking out their podcast. Like, follow, subscribe. I don't know if there's different things on different sites depending on where they do it. And Adam, any big stuff coming up on the show that we can tease before we jump into Best Picture?
Well, like Counts and Brooks were talking about, we're going to drop it probably the day after Christmas, our top 5 movies of the year. It's kind of fun because we did 15 movies, only with 3 overlap, which didn't happen last year. And then kind of going into the new year, we're going to see, because with the strikes and everything, we know things got pushed back and moved. The only thing I can think of really coming out that we even have an invite for is Mean Girls. So we might do, I'm excited too, because I actually love the movie, love the musical. So maybe we'll just we'll wear pink and do a full Mean Girls episode. But just keep an ear over there, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google. Leave us a review. That's always awesome. Just give us some feedback, what you like, what you don't like. That's what helps us grow and mature.
Definitely
And
don't like, right?
yes, please leave your complaints. We'll give them all the consideration they are due.
Mention the mission. Just mention
Your
the
hate
mission.
mail about the mission.
Yeah.
But and honestly, Counts, you're the one who kind of spearheaded this. I can't thank you. I remember when you called me telling me about, hey, I want you to be part of this project. I was at work and I was bawling in the middle of work, and everyone's walking by me like, what is wrong with this person?
Yeah, I'm glad I was in my car.
Yeah, you had your own thing. So.
I love you boys. We're all doing this for Jimmy and Jeff. So
Yeah.
it's great that you had us on together, Patrick, because I think everyone can tell that we really love doing this together. So
Absolutely. And please, if you ever want to come back, you are all more than welcome. We've got a lot more to talk about in 2024. There's going to be tons of stuff.
Yeah.
tough.
And then, of course, you can check out on January 6th, all of us from the Utah Film Critic Association will get together to vote on our awards. Utah
For an
Film Critics-
insurrection.
Yep.
Insurrection, yeah. UtahFilmCritics.com. You can also find us on Utah Film Critic Association on Facebook and Twitter. Just follow along, and maybe we'll do some weird rewards like we always do and give it to Godzilla and not evil Nazis.
Hashtag not my best picture.
Not let us.
You got to take some social media photos of people storming the Megaplex and just trying to open up a conference door. And there's just a whole group.
You're not supposed to tell them where we're gonna be.
I'm gonna vote.
we're
Just
gonna
like
be-
QAnon
I didn't
shaman.
tell them what Megaplex, Adam. How about that?
All right. Well, there's only
There's an
4.
army of people coming after us, which that'd be interesting too. The mission hate mail just keeps growing and growing, and suddenly
I nominate Brooks to fight them off. He understands more how to fight off zombies.
So let's make this easy. I'm going to go from Jeff to Brooks to Adam to me. We're all going to say the best picture in that order the minute the drum roll ends. Sound good?
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. Our best picture picks for 2023 for you to use for voting and stuff.
Poor things.
Poor things.
Poor things.
Oppenheimer. Good night, everybody. Freedom. Good
The
night.
show has a theme. The show definitely has a theme.
Oh man, no, I agree. I think that there's a chance for Poor Things, but I think it's gonna be Oppenheimer. You can't. I know we have this has happened a lot of times, particularly with the director that is up in the runnings right now with Ben Affleck. Also, I think with Bradley Cooper, did he win director and picture?
No, didn't he?
Parasite won that year, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So there's definitely standing that if Nolan wins director, that this isn't going to win picture.
True.
It could go to Barbie.
Yep.
To be honest, I was expecting one of you to say Barbie.
Yeah.
But Poor Things, we loved Poor Things.
We did.
Yeah. Well, Yorgos Lanthimos is one of my favorite directors, and Brooks, I'll never forget my first Sundance sitting at that theater in Park City, which is the most uncomfortable seats in the world. You and I sitting down to watch The Lobster, being like, opens with a woman shooting, was it a goat or a cow or something like that? And I was like, what are we watching? And then walking out
from there,
enthralled. And I've been following this director ever since then. And Poor Things, up to this point in time, feels like his magnum opus. And I think he, especially as we look at Barbie as a very strong feminist film. I mean, I walked out of Poor Things saying this is a modern feminist fairy tale.
It's the adult version. This one's not.
It's definitely an adult version.
Take up.
That's interesting, right? Because a lot of people are saying it's not so feminist, right?
Really? I disagree. It actually,
talking about white people or something.
Maybe this can be here. This will be we're going to get into this real quick before we go, because it is a thing I've noticed. Lots of different takes on the sexuality being through the scope of a male perspective, and that being a little bit more sexist because it's just going through that point. But to me, I feel like that's the point of the story, is that it is being told in that way because this is what it's like for a woman going through life, and what it's always has been in a lot of ways. It's like we always are tailoring towards the male gaze. So I don't know. It was interesting. I've seen that come up a few times on film Twitter, but film Twitter is genuinely full of insane people that I love. But whoa,
here's my question:
whoa.
So when we're talking about the sexuality of this and that, is that coming from male people or female people? Because if it's coming from men,
It's a little of both.
Like coming from men, I'm sorry, but your opinion of this doesn't count. Women's opinion counts on this. It's the same thing as if we, like all of the strangers, if you're going to approach this about the LGBT aspect, I'm sorry, your opinion doesn't count because you're not LGBT. And talking with some of my film critics who are women, like they feel completely different about the sexuality that the male critics do.
I think it's a little mixed, honestly. I think there's both coming from both sides, but much like it usually is on X, it's just a lot of people yelling.
Patrick, and you're right, Adam, my opinion should be grain of salted here, big time. But I think that the way the sex scenes are shot feels male, certainly. But her empowerment, I don't know, rang a little bit more true as what Adam was saying. Like I said, my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt here. But I think it's a split. I think it's a difference between what her character's doing and the way it's shot. And the way it's shot, I can see how somebody might read that as a little male gazy.
Well, and look, we all can do this at the beginning. Hi, I'm Patrick. I'm a white man. I have privilege. But
right.
But also at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't want to invalidate someone's opinion on it just because they had like a more visceral reaction to that stuff. It could be upbringing. It could be their own personal experience with things. But I will say, you cannot knock the performances.
No way.
No matter what. When it comes to the story, you can talk about story. That's something you can always. But at the end of the day, those performances, they go right to the top. And I'm really glad that we got to show some love to Poor Things, regardless of what our thoughts are.
Best original score of the last 10 years, too. Incredible.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Pump your brakes. I don't know about that. Hold on.
Yep. Of the last 11 years.
It was like a toddler playing a mandolin.
It's the point, though. It's supposed to melt everything that's happening around it. I thought it was perfect.
I do love anytime Willem Dafoe bursts the bubble.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
That's how we're going to end the show, everybody. First, thank you. Make sure that you are following all of the Patrick Bailey review stuff. PatriotReviews.com, ABC4.com for the See It or Skip It things. January, make sure you're following everything because lots of award shows, lots of different stuff that we're doing. And Sundance is coming at the end of the month. And I know all of us are going to be included in some of that too. So with that said, on 3, we're all going to give our best Willem Dafoe bubble regurgitating voice. And we're going to close this out. All right. On 3.
God.